Trump is coming. He's coming.
We've just learned shocking new details about the NBA gambling scandal, and it's looking way worse than anyone could have imagined. This isn't just some rumor floating around anymore. This is real, documented chaos shaking the foundation of the league. Insiders are saying this could end up being the biggest integrity crisis in NBA history, something that might haunt the sport for years to come. And what makes it even wilder? It's all happening in one of the most exciting seasons ever. Nikola Jokic is out here dropping triple-doubles like it's nothing. Luka's slicing through defenses like a magician with a ball, and Wembanyama? He's not even human at this point.
I think what NBA fans have to realize is that there's two cases here. There's the poker case and there's the NBA case, and they're separate. They are separate. They are linked by a few individuals who are charged in both, but the poker thing is fascinating. Will probably be made into a movie someday. The NBA thing is something that is completely different.
People are calling him an alien for a reason. It should have been a season filled with greatness, highlights, and record-breaking moments. But instead, everyone's talking about bets, wiretaps, and investigations. Reports say multiple players and even coaching staff might be caught up in what officials are calling a widespread manipulation network. That's a heavy term.
You know, one of his nicknames with the crew that was running these things, according to the feds, was Chum. And if you guys know what chum is, if you're a fisherman, you throw bait into the water to attract the bigger fish.
Right.
And so they thought his celebrity would bring these guys in.
And it means this goes beyond a few bad bets. This could be something organized, something calculated, something that shakes how fans see the game forever. And here's the part that's got everyone buzzing. There's an actual pattern. The more cases investigators uncover, the more similar they all sound. It's like they're following the same script. Suddenly, those wild theories about certain legends and long-whispered rumors in basketball circles don't sound so far-fetched anymore. Something is definitely going on behind the scenes, and the deeper this gets, the darker it looks. But wait, don't jump to conclusions just yet, because the receipts that just dropped have blown this case wide open. Investigators are now pointing to what looks like a full-on underground network, not just a few rogue bets gone wrong. Since the scandal first broke,
the NBA is dealing with is the fact that Chauncey is accused by the feds of telling bettors that certain players were not going to play in a game before it was public information. In fact, a number of people were accused of that.
Analysts have been digging deep, and now we've finally seen the official 23-page federal indictment. And let me tell you, the details inside are absolutely wild. We're talking serious crimes here. Things like wire fraud, money laundering, and even insider betting schemes allegedly coordinated through multiple crime groups.
In the case of Terry Rozier, he is accused of something that the NBA has already investigated. This was not breaking news to the league. They knew that Rozier had been investigated 2 years ago for coming out of a game 9 minutes in, and the sports books flagging that day green.
The indictment lays it out like a movie script, describing an operation that ran from December 2022 all the way to March 2024. It didn't stop at basketball either. There were fixed poker games, private cash bets, and secret lines on NBA player performances, all moving through encrypted apps and shell accounts. Law enforcement says the operation was so sophisticated that it crossed state lines and involved people connected to legit sports organizations. Some insiders are calling it the biggest hit to sports integrity since the ref scandal of the 2000s. That's how big this might be. But here's where it gets especially messy. Not every case is the same. ESPN insider Brian Windhorst recently explained that there's one case the league is really worried about.
Guys, y'all won't even believe this, but in today's world with coaches, we're absolved from that conversation. Back in the day when I played, I would sit down with the training staff and the doctors, and then I would meet with the coach, and I determined if I played. The coach, when I coached last, I was told right before the game who was available.
And it's the one involving Chauncey Billups. Now, to be clear, it's not about him sitting at a poker table having some fun. It's about who might have been in the room and what information was being passed around. That's what has everyone's alarms going off right now. According to federal investigators, his role wasn't random at all. They say he was basically bait, a big name that could pull wealthy businessmen right into those high-stakes rigged poker nights. His presence made everything look legit, while the real money was moving quietly behind the scenes. But here's the kicker.
And I've been saying this for 30 years. When they were trying to legalize gambling, I said, listen, the more access you give, the more trouble you're going to have, period. The more trouble players are going to get into because you're playing into their weakness.
Poker was only one piece of this massive operation. Prosecutors now claim that Terry Rozier and former NBA player Damon Jones were secretly leaking inside player information to high-rolling bettors before that info ever went public. Imagine knowing when a star player's gonna sit out or fake an injury before anyone else. That's gold in the betting world. People were placing huge wagers off those leaks, cashing in while everyone else was in the dark. And there's one night that changed everything. March 23rd, 2023. That's when Rozier allegedly messaged a close associate saying he was going to bow out early by faking an injury in the first quarter of the Hornets game.
But listen, you got to understand with athletes, gambling is an extension of their competitiveness. They raise the stakes when they gamble.
Before the ball even tipped off, that associate reportedly flipped the info for a cool $100,000. Within just 46 minutes, more than 30 bets hit the books on Rozier's understats. Sportsbooks picked up the weird pattern and froze his line mid-game. But by then, the money had already moved. This is where things split into two crazy storylines. One about poker table setups and the other about manipulating injury info for quick profits. But here's what really ties it together. The same names keep showing up in both. A small, tight circle of insiders who had the kind of access and influence most people could only dream of. These weren't random gamblers. These were people who knew exactly who was playing, who wasn't, and when to make their move. See, at this point, this scandal isn't just about gambling anymore. It's about trust, the kind of trust that holds an entire sport together. Because when the people watching start to question whether what they're seeing on the court is real or rigged, everything starts to crumble. And that's exactly what's happening right now. The wildest part? There's growing evidence suggesting the NBA might have known about this for over a year and still didn't step in. Meanwhile, the FBI claims they've been quietly investigating the same network for 4 years. So now everyone's asking the same question. Not, how deep does this go? But how long did the league look the other way? That's the part that's really setting fans off. The investigation itself isn't new. The evidence isn't new. What's new is that the public is finally seeing it. None of this was ever supposed to get out. And that's what makes it so explosive. Because transparency was supposed to be the safety net when Commissioner Adam Silver backed the idea of legal sports betting.
So you've been warning about these betting ties for years. You said this was inevitable. Fans are now questioning the integrity of the game. What do you know about this?
So all this comes down to one word: trust.
He promised oversight, accountability, and cleaner games. He said legalization would expose corruption, not enable it. But here we are. Finding out oversight only works if you actually do something when the red flags show up. And this time, the league didn't act. Which makes everyone wonder, how many other times did they turn a blind eye? How many other quiet cover-ups have happened behind the scenes? Could that even include the mysterious MJ story that's been whispered about for years? Before we jump into that, we need to ask the bigger question. Why would a league that prides itself on integrity bury something this serious? Could it be tied to the league's obsession with player availability and the pressure to keep stars on the court no matter what? Because if that's the case, the truth might be a whole lot darker than anyone expected. That tight little circle, the people who really know what's going on behind the locker room doors.
Obviously, fans love basketball because they believe the games are real and honest, and that all the players are given an honest effort. So if people started thinking gambling is affecting the outcome, the whole sports world is in trouble, actually.
That's where the real danger lives. Trainers, coaches, operations staff, team doctors, all with inside access to player availability. That's a gold mine for anyone looking to make a quick, dirty buck. One wrong text, one innocent heads up sent to the wrong person, and boom. Millions of dollars shift across betting lines in seconds. Sure, the NBA can tighten up its injury reporting rules, shorten the windows, and warn staff to stay silent. But you can't remove the human factor. Someone always knows first. And as long as that gap between knowledge and public release exists, so does the temptation. It's a built-in flaw that even the smartest system can't fix. And here's the truth no one wants to admit. The legalization of sports betting didn't just open new opportunities, it opened new temptations. Legalization gave people access. Access gave them temptation. And temptation? That's what breeds corruption. Now the question everyone's afraid to ask, how long has this really been happening? Could it have started long before betting apps? Long before social media? Back when the NBA was still shaping its global image? Because some fans are pointing way back, almost 30 years, to a story that's never truly gone away. Michael Jordan's early retirement. For decades, fans whispered that there was more to it, the so-called Michael Jordan secret suspension theory. It was always dismissed as a wild conspiracy theory buried in message boards and old interviews. The league denied it every time. But now, with everything we're seeing, those old whispers don't sound so crazy anymore. What's wild right now is that the pattern we're seeing feels way too familiar. Quiet internal investigations, players disappearing from rosters with vague personal reasons, and league officials smiling for cameras saying, "Everything's fine." Yeah, we've heard this tune before. It's almost like the NBA's running the same old playbook it used decades ago: silence, spin, and control. Back in 1993, the sports world froze when Michael Jordan, the biggest name in basketball, suddenly retired at the absolute peak of his career. The official explanation? Grief and fatigue after losing his father. But behind closed doors, whispers started spreading fast. Some believed there was more to the story. Something much bigger. The rumor that's haunted the league for years said Jordan's gambling habits might have drawn too much attention. Instead of risking the embarrassment of disciplining their biggest global star, the league supposedly offered him an option: step away quietly, protect the image of the game, and return when things cooled off. Nothing proven, of course, but the pattern? It's the same one people think they're seeing now. Keep it under wraps, protect the brand, and hope the world moves on. Fast forward to today, and that same kind of silence seems to be echoing again. The parallels are almost chilling. Questionable behavior, inside connections, and a system that seems to handle things internally. Because when you really think about it, what the NBA allegedly did with the recent scandal involving insider info feels like the modern-day remix of what many believed happened with Jordan. Just quietly take the issue off the court, but never admit there was a problem in the first place. And that's exactly what leads us into the newest twist in this saga, the Clutch Sports connection. When Chauncey Billups walked into federal court, he didn't show up in a suit trying to hide behind PR. Nope. He strolled in rocking a brown Clutch Sports hoodie, loud, proud, and sending a message that he's not backing down. And that brown hoodie? It wasn't just any hoodie. It had Clutch Sports printed across the chest. The same Clutch Sports founded by Rich Paul, the powerhouse agent who represents some of the biggest names in basketball, including LeBron James. That single image went viral within minutes. To some people, it looked like loyalty, a statement of unity during chaos. But to others, it looked like a bold message, maybe even a warning shot that this scandal was about to touch some major players. Because here's where things start heating up. One of the men named in the same federal indictment is none other than Damon Jones, LeBron's former teammate and longtime friend. And according to the charges, Damon wasn't just casually mentioned. Prosecutors allege he was feeding private information about LeBron's injury status to high-stakes gamblers before it ever went public. That's a serious accusation, especially when millions can move off a single tweet or report. But hold up, it doesn't stop there. The indictment also mentions another mysterious figure, described only as a resident of Oregon, a former player turned head coach who allegedly shared insider info about when his own team planned to rest players. That might sound vague, but fans and insiders have already connected the dots. That description lines up almost perfectly with Chauncey Billups. And if that's true, then we're not just talking about shady betting. That's full-blown insider trading disguised as basketball. Imagine using inside team strategy to manipulate game outcomes and cash in. That's next-level corruption. But the deeper this case goes, the uglier it gets. Because now, new reports are saying that even Kevin Garnett's name is starting to surface in connection to this whole mess. Yeah, you heard that right. Hall of Famers, active coaches, and NBA legends might all be tangled up in what's turning into one of the biggest sports scandals of the decade. Every day, another name drops, and the list just keeps growing. What this all really means is bigger than just a scandal. It's about how gambling is slowly stealing the one thing that makes basketball work: trust. Once that trust disappears, the whole foundation of the game starts to shake. Because let's be real, trust is the true currency of the NBA. Fans believe the games are fair, the players are clean, and what they see on the court is real competition. But when that belief fades, the entire system starts to collapse right before our eyes. That's why the Clutch Sports Connection is such a sensitive topic right now. Nobody's saying LeBron or Rich Paul did anything wrong. There's no proof of that. But it's impossible to ignore how close their names sit next to the key players involved. And when you think about it, if someone wanted to dig for insider info about player injuries, lineups, or rest plans, where better to start than one of the most powerful agencies in the game? That's why fans and media can't stop asking questions. Questions that eventually someone's going to have to answer. But here's the chilling part. Those answers might not be what anyone wants to hear, because this isn't just about a few bad apples making reckless moves. It's not even about rich people bending the rules. What we're seeing is an entire ecosystem that's been allowed to grow inside the NBA's gray zone, the one the league itself built when it embraced legal sports betting. And the longer the NBA keeps treating those tiny timing gaps, the moments when insiders know something before the public, as no big deal, the faster the trust that holds everything together starts to die. This isn't just a basketball issue anymore. This is a warning sign for all of sports. So now the big question. Do you buy into the Michael Jordan theory after everything that's come out, or do you still think it's just smoke and noise? Because let's be honest, after seeing all these patterns line up, it's starting to feel a little too familiar to ignore. Could history be repeating itself right under our noses? And what about the league's next move? Should the NBA finally step in and ban all player props and role-play bets altogether? Or maybe even start publishing real-time injury updates so fans and bettors can't be manipulated by hidden info? It's a tough call, but one thing's for sure. The pressure is building, and the truth always finds a way out. I want to know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts, theories, and hot takes in the comments below. Let's get into it. And if you want to hear what NBA legends themselves are saying about this whole mess, click on the next video and see how the greats are reacting to the gambling chaos shaking the league right now. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because we've got way more breakdowns coming your way. And trust me, the next one is going to blow your mind. See you on the next one.